Make sure this is working. Hello, everyone. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen Rodriguez, the superintendent for the Pottstown School District. So happy to be with you. I am broadcasting. I'm not crazy. I know it's 8:15 at night, but I wanted to make sure to, because I've gotten lots of questions. Hey, you asked us to take this survey, and a lot of you did. Thank you so much for that. And now you're looking for the results, and we owe you that. I want you to have it. So we shut that down. I shut it down around 11:03 last night, and I'd like to just take a few moments to show you what the results are, and it won't take long, and I'll tell you what I believe the next steps are going to be. So bear with me 1 second here. Nope, can't do it that way. All right, come on. There we go. I love sharing on Zoom. It's so exciting. All right, start share. You should be able to see my screen now. So 1,047 responses. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we've had this many responses on a survey since we were talking about dress code. So, and this is certainly by far our best response from parents and guardians when it comes to a virtual survey or a digital online electronic survey. So thank you for your participation. I will tell you that we organized this in a specific way. So I do need to talk you through this a little bit so that you understand. So the first thing we did was ask a little bit about the proposals for our timeline. So first question is, and 1,047 people responded, would you prefer sending your child or children back to school full-time but in a shortened schedule? And this is everybody. Proposed 7:30 to 1:30, Pottstown High School, Pottstown Middle School, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people said no to that one. In fact, 574 people said no, 473 people said yes, but we're going to unpack that a little bit with some others. So the first one was very general, and it demonstrates that people generally didn't love that. Will you prefer sending your children back to some form of hybrid? Again, most people said no, and you know, not quite a 50-50 split there, but definitely not everyone wanted to do that. Would you prefer your child or children attend a fully virtual schedule? And again, you have a lot of people saying no, some not applicable, and 44% saying yes. So we're going to break that down a little bit further in a moment. In fact, right here it is. This to me, oh, I'm sorry. This is something that was very important to us, and it is a surprise. If the district goes into a hybrid 2 to 3 week or virtual remote learning schedule at the start of the year, will this create a hardship? 60% said no, 23% said maybe, 17% said yes, it would. I will be on, and those 17% are real. I know they've talked to me. It's so difficult when you're an essential worker and you've got children during this time. So we know that's real, but I will be honest, I thought that number was going to be higher. So do you depend on an older sibling to pick up an elementary school brother or sister? Again, as we're designing our back to school plan, these are things that are really important. Overwhelmingly, people said, no, we don't depend on that. But there were some who said 13.5% said, yes, we depend on an older sibling to pick up our elementary age student. So this to me is the quintessential question of the hour. If given a choice between the three things that administrators and governors and everybody else has been talking about, what would be your preference for the fall? 30% said in person. 29% said some sort of hybrid schedule, and 40.5% said virtual or remote learning. So let's break that down a little bit more. we wanted to find out what type of parent was answering what type of question. So eventually, whether if we go into a virtual learning, that eventually we will come back to school. So what would work for people? And you'll see here that most of the respondents were elementary only parents. And then now when I say most, that was the biggest group. Obviously, it's not more than 50%, but that was the biggest group. Then you see here, you've got middle school parents only, high school parents only, elementary and middle school only, elementary and high school students. So no middle ground, kind of a gap there. Middle and high school, so your older students only. That would be me, by the way. I have middle and high school and one in college. I can't believe it. And then the folks who have everybody, and this was me a very short time ago, elementary and middle and high school, students in all three levels. So let's see how they responded on this survey. So, and this purple bar here is going to tell you, and we will make this all available on the website. In fact, yes, we will make this all available on the website. So the shortened day, elementary. Out of the given choices, and we did talk about the fact that, well, why didn't y'all offer a 9 to 2 or a 10 to 3? And the reason that we didn't do that is because we knew that students, might be able to hold out till 1 o'clock for lunch, but eventually we need to feed them, and that is a major area. CDC has told us over and over again. In fact, I was on a conference call with Dr. Levine and Secretary Rivera today, and the one thing she reiterated is 6 feet is 6 feet. And there is the wherever feasible, because they understand that kids might be in line or whatever, but that is the CDC recommendation. So we know we're not going to be able to do that with hundreds of kids all at once in a lunchtime environment. So we're thinking about all levels getting out the door. All right, let me keep moving here. Shortened day for middle school, as you see, 48% say that works, 32% said we could make it work, and 19% said we can't make that work for our family. Shortened day high school, and these are high school students, or rather high school parents, sorry, parents. This works for the majority of people. 75% says, yes, we can make the 7:30 to 1:30 or 7:30 to 1:15, depending. This schedule would be difficult, but doable, represents 14%, and only 9.9 or 10% said that wouldn't be very doable. So I'm gonna keep going here. Elementary and middle school parents, again, overwhelmingly like the 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock out of those choices. And the middle school program, 56%, that works. 32% said they could make it work. 11% said that would be difficult. Elementary and high school students in the same family. Again, 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock was the big winner for schedules. The proposed high school schedule, 54% said, yep, no problem. 32% said we could make it work. 13% said it might be an issue it will be an issue for our family. Secondary parents, middle and high school students. Tell us about the middle school schedule. 60% can make it work. 25% said it'd be difficult, but we could do it. 14% said that wouldn't work for our family. Proposed high school, again, much more doable for the older students. 64% say yes. 22% said we can make it work. 13% said not so much. That would be a hardship for our family. And then finally, those of you parents, 71 of you out of the 1,047 who have kids in every single level, again, most popular choice, 8 to 1. Proposed middle school schedule, 57% said yes, 26%, so nearly identical to the others, with 15% it being a hardship. High school schedule, 57%, 25%, and 16.9% said that would be very difficult for us. Now we talked and asked parents about the different hybrid models, and I'm going to tell you straight up front, nobody loved anything. Hybrid, and I'm going to just zip right back up here because I think this is important to see before we start talking hybrid. If I were to call out the most important question, it would be this one: which would you prefer starting school in the fall? 29% said hybrid. So what I was hoping might happen if that were to be a real option either now or in the future would be that there would be some level of agreement. And what we found is there wasn't. So again, 40% said virtual, 30% said in person, 29% said hybrid. But really what this means is 70% aren't terribly comfortable coming back full time. So I just felt like I needed to repeat that and say that again as we consider. Sorry if you're if you're going a little sick there, but hybrid models for elementary. So now we said, tell us about hybrid. Would any of this work for you? Clearly, you can see for elementary, this was not very popular. 1 week on, 1 week off. Only 21% said that that would work for them. What about 3 days a week? 65% said no, that wouldn't work. 2 days a week, that would work for more people, but still 58% said no, that wouldn't work for us. For elementary only, would you prefer the AM or PM? And again, you know, more people, 46% said we could make that work, but 54% said no. So there were a lot of comments and concerns. I thank you, everybody. I want you to know that I read every single one of them, and I'll be sharing this with our board. And I will just scroll very slowly here because everyone's voice is important. And again, I did read every single one of these. And there are people who are concerned about going back to work, what that could do. There are people concerned about their children having a difficult time in the spring. I can tell you right now, no matter what, we will not repeat the spring. We've got a lot of Chromebooks that are being prepared right now for our students. We have thousands of Chromebooks for our students. In case you didn't hear, we had 1st through 12th grade Chromebooks ready to go. And we were very concerned about kindergarten. Late breaking news, we were able to find some money for kindergarten. So the kindergarten Chromebooks are ordered. They're not here yet. All the others are here already and we're preparing them. So kindergarten Chromebooks are ordered. We're hoping that they will get here soon, but either way, we are much more prepared than we were in the past. So I'm going to keep going. There are a lot of comments here. So for purposes of time, I am going to continue, but you can get an idea here. I'm not editing anything. A lot of concerns that are significant. Transportation is most certainly a concern. So I'm going to keep going here. Talk about hybrid models based on middle school. And I think that the graphics tell the picture. Generally speaking, people weren't terribly happy with the idea of hybrid. Okay. So there are more comments like this. For purposes of time, again, this will be posted. High school, hybrid model. Do any of these models we talked about work? And it's generally negative. Hybrid models for elementary and middle school students. As you can see here, again, generally negative. These for 146 parents are not the best options. Okay. Keep going. Hybrid models, elementary and high school. Again, the graphic tells the story. This was the one area, these 61 parents, we went a little positive on this option, certainly not by much. Again, more comments. more hybrid. And again, there slightly, people like this AB, all virtual on Friday, a little bit more than the others, but not by much. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all parents for taking the time to fill out the survey. So this last group is elementary and middle and high school students, or rather parents who have these levels of students. And as you can see, again, hybrid here for those parents, slightly more positive on the AM, PM, but not by much. And again, lots of comments. So I'll continue on there. And as I say, there were a lot of comments here. So thank you for your participation. Now I'd like you to quickly just see a little bit of what the pandemic task force, which was a group of parents, board members, teachers from all levels, elementary, middle, and high school, our head nurse, head of the student services, pupil services department, Dr. White, who leads up our virtual education, as well as our buildings and grounds supervisor, who has helped get our schools ready, at least as best as we are able based on the guidelines. So these are the many considerations, as you can see here, that the task force have considered. They've done hours and hours of reading and speaking with me and others, and they all have their own minds. They're a great group of leaders within our community, but you know, it's clear that we, because I am a part of that group as well, are concerned about the many issues that we face. Lack of COVID-19 testing. Right now, the average is somewhere between 14 and 16 days to get the tests back. So we are deeply concerned here, and I will tell you that out of the choices, this is what I ask them to consider. Out of the models that we have, what are they recommending? And out of that group, they all recommended the virtual remote options for our students to start the year. And then we did also talk about the duration of how long that should be, because if we do that, you know, the natural question is, well, how long are we going to do it? Are we going to do virtual for a week, a month, a year? How long are we going to do that? So the general recommendation was for approximately a semester. So I see lots of questions coming in. Thank you for that. I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. Here's what I can tell you. I know for sure that the survey results were going to be important. This is a safety decision more than anything, and a lot of districts are changing gears, quite frankly, based on the data and based on the realities that are setting in with regard to all the problems and issues of staffing and transportation, and how we try and figure out 3 different models. So when asked, and I know that I will be, what should we do for the Pottstown School District? I will tell you that I do believe the safest option is going to be to open the school year in a virtual format. And it is not because that's the way the wind is blowing and that's what our parents are telling us, even though, true story, that's what many of our parents are telling us. However, in terms of all the different factors that go in, we can want to come in, but if we don't have teachers because of quarantining and everything else, it's going to be near impossible to run a school. And we don't want people to get sick. And we understand that, you know, the percentage is low, but it is there, it is real, and some of the effects are long lasting. So it will be my recommendation that we go virtual, at least for the start of the year. I will tell you also that the Federation of Teachers, we love our teachers. They work hard for us. They have said that the spring experience, it can't be that way. They didn't like it. We didn't like it. We plan on making it much better if given that opportunity. But the head of the Federation leadership, I asked them to weigh in before the board makes a decision, and they are recommending 100% virtual as well. So between our parent survey, our pandemic task force that's looked at all the same data that I have, and our teacher leaders, it is now going to be up to the board to decide on this. And they instructed me to put together a special meeting on Thursday. This Thursday, 3 days from now, we'll begin advertising on our website and do all the things that we need to do to advertise. And then on Thursday, they are going to be debating and coming up with a decision. And I have already informed them that it is my recommendation that we go virtually, at least for the time being, to keep all of our students safe. So let me take a couple of questions here. Let me also say that we're looking to go synchronous rather than asynchronous. Asynchronous basically means that the teacher does his or her thing and then the students get to it when they can. Synchronous means that the teacher will have a set time, and we know that there's going to be a lot of scheduling that has to happen, and we're going to open school in 4 weeks. We're going to look at beginning a Chromebook distribution in about 2 weeks. So we know that the road is going to continue, and we've got a lot to do to prepare for that. But what I can tell you is that with Chromebooks in the hands of so many of our students, and with highly motivated and dedicated teachers who have said, including on the pandemic task force, who have said, we've got to do better than we did before. We want and need training, and some of that training is already underway. We're going to get some of that training, and we're going to provide for some synchronous learning opportunities, which simply means this: 9 o'clock in the morning, we're going to do some reading. Maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm making these times up. Don't hold us to this, but you know, as an example, 10 o'clock in the morning, we're going to do math. And that means that if children can come, and they should come, that's when their class is. But if something is stopping them from coming because maybe there's a childcare issue, and we're going to work with childcare providers to make sure that they have information in terms of what expectations are for students. So we're hoping to partner with them. But it means that, you know, we'll have a class at 9 o'clock, we'll have a class at 10 o'clock. It means that if a student can't be there because they're taking care of someone who's sick in the home, that they can go back later in Google Classroom and get what they need. So that's what we're talking about. And we know that there's a lot of things there that need to be addressed. We don't have all the answers, but we will work on it. So I'm going to do my best. Wow, there's a lot of comments. Let me see what I can do here. And sorry, I'm kind of off to the side here. Lots of people watching. Thank you for that. What are the results? We need a plan. So as of right now, the results are that most people are looking for a virtual option, and that is our plan, a virtual option. Yep, online to be done. Thank you for that. My kids will not do well with just online learning. Well, we do understand that, and we're going to do our very best to improve the online instructional experience. And you know, our classroom assistants have talked about this, that they want to be able to help our students more. We know that more can be done, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have faith in our staff. I think they're going to be really good at this and provide for lots of different options. I will tell you that we are also considering and exploring our highest need learners and how we help them. So one of the things that you should know is on the table is for our high-risk learners. And what do I mean by that? I mean those students who are in wheelchairs, who have multiple disabilities, those students who are dealing with a high level of autism. And I was a special education teacher, so I want you to know that these are the kids that I got into education for. Those students who have IEPs with severe disabilities, we are looking at an in-person support option. It'll only be a couple hours, maybe once or twice a week. It wouldn't be a lot, and it'd be in huge rooms with tons of precautions, but we are considering that. We believe that we would be able to do that safely, but there's a lot more things we need to do before that becomes a possibility. So I see here people are talking about full-time employment. We are aware that that's a potential issue for a lot of people. I have do virtual online. Okay. Thank you for your comment. I thought that was a question. Thank you for those who are doing virtual online. Appreciate that. Yeah, middle school has gotten out before the high school. That is the typical pattern within the Pottstown School District. I remember many years ago when that wasn't the case, and there were issues. So I would say that this is definitely better. Okay. Pottstown does offer an independent virtual online program. And let me just explain what I would believe to be the difference. We've promoted this and we've gotten a lot of interest. I think there may be some parents who would say, well, wait a second, I like the idea of, Mr. Freeze, who is our elementary and head librarian. I just saw him today. Thanks so much, Mr. Freeze, for waving at me as I was trying to get some exercise in. Maybe you want Mr. Freeze to be the one who's reading the story because you had Mr. Freeze or Mrs. Freeze, and it's really important that you have some of that culture and some of those experiences. So you want to reach back into what I call the Pottstown School District virtual program. No problem. The independent virtual program that we've been running since 2012, again, was meant to compete and win with cyber schools. So that program offers a lot of supports and a lot of independence. So teachers are available at all times, not just during office hours, and there's a lot more flexibility. You can go a little bit faster, a little bit slower than everybody else, and that's not an issue. So that is definitely a more independent program, and there are going to be people who would say, you know what, I want to be in that the whole year. I know it. I know Dr. White. I like the program. Stay with it. That's not a problem at all. You're still a Pottstown student. You'll still have all of our support no matter what program you're with. But if you're looking for, to be more in the home-based situation and hopefully eventually when there's a lot more safeguards and we're feeling much better about getting back into school, you would be able to transition into the school, be it hybrid or whatever type of program is available. Certainly you can do that as well. So let me keep going. What happens with kindergarten? We're working on computers. The kindergarten computers are ordered and they're on their way. I hope they get here beforehand. If not, we're coming up with contingency plans for that as well. One way or another, we're going to do school. And I think that's an important message. And just so that everyone is aware, we're going to educate kids. That's who we are. We are educators. So I can guarantee you we're going to be educating students. So he'll be in virtual learning. My son is the health. I see here, Mrs. Medvets, your comment about your son's health being the safety and top priority. Completely agree. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. We've heard how many students have already decided on virtual. Oh, you haven't heard. Okay. 400 have said that they are interested in the Pottstown virtual, what I call the cyber school program, if that's what your question is. If your question is about student interest one way or the other, I will tell you that we did have one of our student board reps on the pandemic task force, but the survey was for parents. And I admit that to me, that is the voice. We do have student voice, but the more important voice to me is the parents. So parents need more than a month's notice to figure out childcare. Well, I can tell you that childcare providers have been talking to me. They're looking to speak with the school district. So I can tell you we're going to do our very best to work with them. They knew that this was a big decision, and I think what you've seen in other school districts has been that this is a really tough decision, and some are, they went with one, and this is not a negative. It's just the decision making process. Sometimes they went with one thought, and then maybe heard from the community that people aren't really willing to do that. So what did we do? We did sit back and wait a little bit more. We put out a second survey. Our first survey said one thing. Our second survey, after Florida and Arizona and all these different places, I read today, someone sent me a thing about how the positivity rate in Florida has gone through the roof in schools. And so I understand these things, but what I would say is we're making the decision as quickly as we can. So thank you, Allison, for your comment. I see here lots of different comments, and you're basically talking to each other, so I won't repeat myself. And whatever, you're correct. Thank you for the comment. Whatever decision we make, we knew it wasn't going to work for everyone. We talked about that, that we're trying to make decisions based on a couple of things. Safety first, education, what is good for our students, how can we best serve our mission, which is to prepare each student by name for success at every level. We know that. And obviously the economic impact of our families. We understand that our system is built on the fact that our kids go to school. I'm a parent too, so I get that. But at the end of the day, we have to make a choice. So if it's going to be virtual, will there be actual video classes, not just assignments posted? Mrs. DePietro, thank you. DePietro, thank you, Crystal. Thank you so much for your question. That is the sense of synchronous learning. That's what's going to be different this year, because everybody now, almost everybody, has a device. We're so much better off with Google Classroom, and we're really going to do something different than what was in the spring, and kids will be able to participate back and forth. And we already know we're going to have to work on training, and part of that training is going to be rethinking how we control or manage classrooms, because you can lose control of a classroom virtually just as well as you can. And I remember in my first year of teaching, it happened to me. It's not a good experience when you don't have good structure and good routine and a good question and answer time. And students say that they hate structure, but they actually love it. They love structure, and that's what we're looking to build in our virtual school. And we now have time to work on some of those things. We're not going to get it all right. We're reinventing school, but we're going to get a lot more right than we would if we try to bring kids in, and then either through the governor or through some outbreak, we had to close down schools or close down districts. You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you signed up your kid for virtual, they go the whole year. If you're talking about the Pottstown School District virtual program, we designed that to work for our parents. Unlike other places that I'm hearing, including the district where my own kids go, we don't force you into that program forever. If it's designed for you to stay for the whole school year, but if you don't, and you say, you know what, I've had a month of this, and I'm hearing my neighbors talk about the good experience that they're having, I want to switch one way or the other. Totally allowable. That's your choice as a parent. We want to give you that flexibility. Thank you for the question. Okay, Mary Noecker Deary, thank you for asking about CTC. We are very worried about that at this point. What we're going to concentrate on, and what other CTCs are doing as more and more school districts across the state are going virtual, we know that there's going to be theory, and we're looking at some options that it would be premature for me to talk about that now. So I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but I've heard some really good ideas of things that are out there. So we're going to keep working on that, because to me, CTC is like college. When you're learning how to build a, whatever, you name it, whether it be cosmetology or auto or our medical students or culinary arts or any of those things. Those are real jobs. They bring in great paying salaries, and we want our students to have those opportunities. So one of the things we're going to look at is what type of certifications can we give you in an online experience that are going to prepare you and make you valuable to employers, because that's our main job. In terms of what they do for what I used to call when I was in high school the shop experience, we're working on that. It's a really good question. I'm not going to lie and say we've got it figured out. We don't. Science labs. There are virtual science laboratory type opportunities. We're exploring them. That's all I can say at this point. Okay, so in terms of registration, this is what I'll say. If you're already registered and you know that, typically your student would have gone to one of our elementary schools or would have gone to one of our, the middle or the high school, you don't need to do anything. You'll be enrolled as a matter of course. You're already enrolled. If you're interested in that Pottstown alternative virtual learning program that Dr. White is in charge of, and that competes with cyber schools, that you do have to sign up for, and just give her a call, and you can write this down: 610-323-8200, and ask for student services, and they can help you there. Or you can always email covid19@pottstownk12.org, and that's a funnel system, so lots of different concerns come through that, but they can definitely send it to the student services department. So wonderful. Thank you for the positive comments, everyone. I do appreciate it. It's been difficult. If a child cannot attend during the scheduled time, will it count against them? Amanda Francisco, thank you so much for your question. Right now, what we're thinking is that there needs to be some level of expectation. I slept in, or I wanted to watch Scooby-Doo. I think I just dated myself there. That's not an acceptable excuse to not be in class, right? But there's circumstances. There's, hey, I can't be there because I physically have to work, and the place that I drop my son or daughter off at, can't sign in. We understand those things. We're going to work with families. If we have to be flexible, we understand. Excuse me. If you have to be flexible, we understand that we have to be flexible. So we are working on that. Jamie, thank you for your question regarding YMCA, YWCA. I can tell you that I plan on meeting with both of those organizations and probably a couple of others very soon. So we're hoping to coordinate as much as possible. They are independent. They don't do what we say just because we ask them to, but we're going to do our very best to coordinate. Okay. Yes, for those who are tuning in here, it says depending on school board vote. That is true. This needs to be debated publicly, but I will tell you that the survey spoke volumes, and the pandemic task force spoke volumes, and our teachers have spoken volumes. So it is, I believe that the school board, after debating, and I can't speak for them, I work for them, they don't work for me, but I do believe that the evidence is there that the safest option is virtual. So that is how I am proceeding until told differently. Thank you, everyone. Okay, thank you for your comment with regard to IEPs. While I can't speak specifically to your situation, I will tell you that we have had a specific, sorry for using the word twice in one sentence, a specific task force for special ed concerns. We get the fact that students have an IEP and that things need to be different for those students. We're not the only ones who are working on individualized options for students, and making sure that students have the very best experience they can have during a pandemic. So that's the best that we can do at this point. So, okay, very good. Other people watching here, thank you for your work. Okay, very good. We will be putting information out to parents. I see here a question regarding how to sign in and so on and so forth. We're going to be putting information out for parents. One of our takeaways from spring is that teachers need training, superintendents need training, parents need training, kids need training. where do I go to make sure that I can tune in to my teacher live at 9 o'clock? That's really important. So we're putting together videos. We're thinking about how to make sure everybody has access to those videos. What do we do when there's language barriers? That's on our mind. And right now we don't have a very good answer. But we are looking into those things, and we're trying to do our best to, prepare. So wonderful. Good. I hope that I'm good. Okay. Does that mean no extracurriculars such as sports and band? At this point, I'm not commenting on that, but I will tell you that, at least in terms of football, it seems to me that if we can't meet a 6-foot standard in class and in school and in the lunchroom, we probably can't do it on the field either. But that's right now, I am laser focused on what we're doing to get school started. In terms of co-curriculars, and I know band is a big one. Football is a big one, and there are plenty of places, both at the college level as well as the high school level, that are making the hard call and saying, we're not going to participate. At this point, what I would say is we need to look at that. We need to debate that and make some clear-cut decisions. So that's all I will say at this point. Right now, my job was to let everybody know what the survey results were, and what I'm recommending, and then go from there. So we're definitely going to cover all those things, though. Okay, what's going on with sports? Yep, that we're going to get there eventually. I don't have an answer for you now, but that is most definitely a major consideration with regard to safety. I will tell you that. All right. Okay, another comment there. Comments. Thank you so much for all your comments. It was like pulling hair. Okay. How are you going to assist parents with teaching our students from home? That's the point of synchronous learning. In all formats, when it comes to students being at home, parents are far more involved. We understand that, we get that. Cyber places, they try and make it sound good by calling you a learning coach, but essentially you're much more involved than you were before. But the whole point of what we're looking to do is get much more involved than we could be when all of our students didn't have devices, and when we had to do things in a way, we were all caught flat-footed. So our belief is that as a result of some time to plan and figure some things out, we're going to be able to provide a much better experience where students, and we know that students, they all have their off days. My kids do too. But at the same time, it's always been about a partnership between a parent and a teacher. It's always been about talking about the students, finding out what they need to succeed and motivating them. Nothing's really changed. The method certainly has changed, but not the mission. Okay. IEPs, we talked about that. Yep, thank you. Thank you for your question. Yep, more questions about that. Are there enough Chromebooks for all students? Janelle Beakley, thank you for your question. This is not like it was in the spring. So if you're one of those parents who has, let's say you have 2 children at elementary, and you have 2 children at middle school and 2 children at high school, that's 6 computers that'll be in your house, 6 Chromebooks. Again, every student would get a device. The only small hiccup is going to be kindergarten, where they're ordered, but they haven't arrived. I'm hopeful that they will arrive. And if they don't arrive, we're going to figure out a plan. But I'll tell you what, we're going to have, somewhere in the neighborhood of just shy of 3,000 Chromebooks, which again is another reason why we believe that we can be much more effective than we were before. Okay. The plan I see here, are they handing them out? Neither of my kids have one. Yeah, you're correct on that. First things first, the board has to debate and then vote. If they don't agree with me, that's a different matter. But if they take the recommendations of the different groups that I've talked about here, then as soon as that happens, we're already working on a plan to have Chromebooks in the hands of students and families before school starts. So on August 24th, which is the first day of school, that's a Monday, that would be go time. I'm believing that, and I'm looking over at my calendar, which says July, so that's no help. But August 17th is the week before that. August 10th is the week before that. Our rollout is probably going to begin August 10th. And it'll be slow because we have to remain socially distant. We can't just, do a school at a time. That would have been nice, but not possible. So there it is. We are going to roll out our Chromebooks to students before school starts. Okay. All right. I'm seeing about teaching. Yep. Students will be teaching. We never stopped. Oh, and yes, I consider myself a teacher, a teacher leader, but in my heart and in my core, I'm a teacher. So here we go. Can IEP kids do virtual? Yep, we talked about IEPs. You're going to be spending lots of time with your IEP teacher and checking in. And our classroom assistants, they're not going away. We gave our classroom assistants, I reported this in a different report in an update to the community, but we will have ways for our classroom assistants to dial in and provide support. Obviously, they're not the teacher, but they can be instrumental in helping students succeed, especially students who have learning difficulties of one form or another. And again, that was my field, special education. So I can tell you right now, there's nothing stops a student from learning. When they're guided by loving adults, they can learn. All students can learn. And I'm excited about that. No matter what form, all students can learn. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm seeing lots more comments here, and I've been on here for a while. If the board votes to go 100% virtual for all students and you like to move your child to the virtual program taught by our teachers, you just need to come. Okay, yeah, guys, you're answering all these questions. You're so terrific. So I've tried to get through a lot of them. If I miss something, you guys have been great about direct messaging me. I can't get to you are faster at turning stuff around than I am, but I have been successful pretty much near every day. I've been able to get back to parents and different community members. So thank you so much for your time. Never in a million years did I think that I'd be leading an organization so important and so critical during a pandemic. But you as parents are absolutely critical to that success. Thank you for participating in the survey. Thank you for your patience as we learn and grow together in a community fashion, the likes of which none of us could have guessed, but we will get through this. Thank you very much. Have a great night and stay tuned for more information. Bye.